Hello wonderful humans, and welcome back to another one of my videos on the Dragon Reborn. This is the penultimate video for the Dragon Reborn, the second last one, chapters 43 to 49 today, in which I read the last chapter that I wrote about in this journal, and I move on to this beautiful journal. I love this. It's called Poetry and Bloom is the design. Slightly bigger. I've wrote a little bit more sometimes, not much bigger. But we move on to the new book, and it was a nice purchase. I like notebooks. What can I say? It was exciting for me, even if it's not for you. As usual, I'm going to read the page of notes, one page, no more, of notes that I've written about each chapter that I wrote immediately after having read it for the first time. And I'm going to just talk about my thoughts and feelings and reactions in the moment. So yeah, I may get it wrong, I may not. Who knows? Let's find out. And we will get started with chapter 43, Shadow Brothers. So a Forsaken rules Ilion. That's a little problematic, to put it mildly. And Moiraine suspected as much. No wonder she was actually showing fear in the last chapter. And now she's actually telling Perrin what's going on. So it must be really bad. Also, important acknowledgement of his dreams here and a warning to pay attention to them. I think this sort of says two things. Moiraine is gaining a little bit of respect for Perrin and for his role. How much of that is because of his tavern and because of who he is and what he's demonstrating to Moiraine. That every time he pushes back a little bit, I think potentially she gains a little more respect for him. Maybe that's just me reading between the, like, making things up, but I think that's the case. But also it shows how scared she is about battling a Forsaken, and she's worried that she won't be up to the challenge. And I think that's something that can be a little easy to forget sometimes, that the Forsaken have been gone for some time. The Aes Sedai haven't come across them in however many, like a couple of thousand years. They've been locked up with the Dark One, and now they're getting loose, and Moiraine doesn't know yet if she is up to the challenge. I know that they met some in the Eye of the World, but this is it's just becoming more and more real, and that fear, and I think it really showed how she's feeling, I suppose. Now, his dreams. Mat is dicing with Balefire. That can't be a good thing. Is that really happening? Are we not getting the fact that Mat is doing these things, or is this a metaphor for Mat dicing and gambling against Balefire in some way? The girls just stepped into a trap. Is it Liandrin springing it? And a woman all in white, Lanfear, I'm guessing Perrin didn't recognize her, which says she's got a different face to when she's run into him in the past. I don't know. And so this woman all in white, Lanfear, laughing at her, Liandrin. So Liandrin, or whoever it is, I'm assuming that's who it is a puppet in the scheme of things. So not as in control as they assume. They're all trying to play this game that they don't know the rules for. The Forsaken know the rules, the Dark One knows the rules, but everyone else is still trying to figure it out. They're so many steps behind that it's really difficult to see them catching up. They all need more information. Hopper is really scared for Perrin. The last hunt comes. That is not a good thing, I guess. So it's kind of terrifying. You can feel Hopper and Perrin's desperation in this. I mean, Perrin has to be desperate to actively seek out his wolf dreams. I think it's fair enough. Perrin is questioning who Zareen Fail is and why she's there, but that makes me even more worried. If she is Min's Falcon, then she has to be an ally, right? I mean, not has to be, she could be not an ally, but it's implied that she's an ally, and Perrin needs to, but it's also good that he's not taking anyone at face value. That's also very good. And potentially someone, Fail could end up being someone Perrin needs to rely on completely at some point. I feel that they're going to be a little bit of a pair. I think I might be right in that. Here I've written on the side about Lanfear, about that stuff. Celene's face is not Lanfear's face, is what I'm guessing from this, which makes a lot more sense given what we know. I think that there's just a few things that when these scenes happen, the way that they're written, they happen so fast that sometimes it gets a little confusing what's going on. And I can follow it. I'm capable of following it, but it's that dream situation where it's designed to be a little bit confusing as to what is going on. Because remember, we're seeing it through Perrin's eyes, and Perrin doesn't know all of the players. He doesn't know who Liandrin is. I'm assuming he's heard of Liandrin, but doesn't know what she looks like. So we're seeing it through his eyes, and we're getting that confused feel to who are these people, what's going on. And it suggests that Celene's face is not Lanfear's, which makes sense given what we know about Lanfear. Did Lan find Moiraine in time to warn her? Or is he still looking for her? They have to leave and regroup, right? They can't take on a Forsaken right now, right? Like, maybe they can. I don't know. That's a little bit scary, but I think that they'll need to get out of there as quickly as they can. And I'm moving on now. Moving on to the next book. I really love this journal. I think it's pretty cool. Slightly bigger pages, not huge amounts. But I did manage to, in places, fit 3 lines of my writing onto 1 line. So anyway, chapter 44, Hunted. Moiraine reacting in the way she has, she's more rattled and less in control than I have ever seen her so far. It really presses home the severity of her discovery. Her taking the time to tell Naida she must leave shows that she cares about the other woman, and that the risk is incredibly high, higher than maybe it's been before, because she did not give this other woman a chance to stay. She said, you have to leave. It's not just her inn that will be harmed, like in some cases in the eye of the world, the inns would be burnt. In this case, it will be a life that is in trouble, and she doesn't want that on her conscience. She can deal with property damage, but not a life in this, where it can be prevented. Perrin let slip about Rand, not surprising given the tension and denial that he's important too. I hope Naida doesn't get killed for it. I really don't like it when innocent people, or this kind of innocent person, gets killed for accidentally finding out information. I never like it. I always hope that they get by. This also shows some flaw in the other side, not sharing information. Who knew? They're flawed. The Grey Men are after Perrin, but Samael isn't as aware of him at all. If the Forsaken all teamed up and worked together, which it's good that they're not, because that would be problematic for our guys. The Darkhounds and Soulless there may have had a different outcome if they'd been working together or had shared knowledge. So it's really probably lucky that they're not doing that. Oh, there's a bit of a storm going on. That's a bit of thunder. Fun. Hopefully it doesn't get too noisy. But Perrin saw a paw print in stone some time back. So have they been tracked earlier, or was that one tracking Rand? I think that one was probably tracking Rand, given we know he's had dogs after him as well. And that, I mean, that's so much information happening and so much going on. The events at the end of the Great Hunt shifted the Dark One's approach, which suggests Rand is stronger than anticipated, is my reading of it. He's now appearing to want to eliminate the Tavern, not convert them. I'm assuming Moiraine just used Balefire, so that's Nynaeve and Moiraine linked again, and I think this is actually fascinating how often Nynaeve and Moiraine get linked, given how they seem to react to each other. And they're both using forbidden power, one knowingly and one maybe unknowingly. I don't think Nynaeve realizes that that's what she's doing. Mat and Tom are in bigger trouble than they realize. How long before they realize that they're being hunted by Soulless, or will they ever realize that that's what's happening? Mat hasn't realized his Tavern nature. Not surprising, as the others don't quite get it either. But Tom might work it out for him and really sort of push him to grasp it. Mat has a great desire to pull things apart and understand them, which is great for strategy. That's a similarity in a way to Nynaeve being able to do things with the Source after she sees them. So there's more connections there, which again, Nynaeve and Mat would hate to be connected, I feel. There's some notes on this page that I don't quite understand. I've written here, although he might give in the songs he hums, she wore a mask that hid her face. He might realise, Tom might realise, Mat might realise. I don't actually know who I was referring to in that instance. But Mat's humming of songs that are relevant is connected in some way. I don't know. Sometimes I don't fully know what I'm writing. That's okay. Chapter 45, Kamlin. Mat might have just learnt the lessons that he needs the lay of the land before acting in unfamiliar environments. He may have been able to give Elaine's letter to Morghese much quicker if he'd checked in first with Master Gil. Happy to see he's none the worse for the last visit, and I hope that that continues. He's just one of those characters that I hope pops up from time to time, and we're not done with him. Tom's taking a back seat on this adventure, letting Mat take the lead and watching it unfold. It is exactly the kind of mentorship that Mat needs, a more hands-off approach, because he'd lose patience with someone like Moiraine very quickly. So those at the inn thought Rand was a prince. There's something about him that just makes people think that he is a lord or a prince or something. I vaguely recall him looking more like a vagabond at this stage, because he was with Mat and they'd been on the run for a while, and I don't recall him looking fancy, so it must have been an aura about him. Must be a deeper impression than just looks. I guess Mat will try getting into the palace the same way that Rand did the last time. His luck better hold out. I really hope that it holds out. Although he is definitely going to meet Morghese unless this Gabriel tries to prevent him. It'd be bad if he's forsaken as well, but unlikely. More likely to be linked to the White Cloaks. Nice touch having Tom and Gil playing stones, which I'm guessing, I've written here it's either chess or checkers or something similar. I'd really love to see what that actually looks like, because it's fun. It's a reminder for Mat that he needs to know the rules. It's almost like that little bit of a visual reminder for him that you can't play a game without knowing the rules, and I'm liking that that's a common thread. This book, The Travels of Jane Farstrider, has been mentioned a few times now. So is it relevant, or is it just a connection between the Eamonsfield trio? I just feel that it's been mentioned. It's been mentioned enough that it's got to have some relevance. And I think in a couple of chapters, I may take a stab at what that might mean. Chapter 46, A Message Out of the Shadows. So there is most likely a Forsaken as advisor to Queen Morghese, and another as High Lord in Tyr. This does not bode well for anyone. I guess that Mat won't be able to help himself and will go save the women. They will likely all be in Tyr for whatever is coming, but he'll have to move fast. And you can see that this is just another one of those examples, and it's constant that the pattern is influencing what is going on. But obviously they all, at this stage anyway, the Tavern all need to be in the same place for whatever reason at the same time. So he will end up heading that way to save the women who he swears he doesn't want to help, but good on him. He does think quick on his feet when needed. Another indicator of how much the dagger impacted him, because he was not able to do that when the dagger was influencing him. So again, I'm liking seeing these snippets of character and personality shining through in such a different way than what they were before. Really, really great. I loved here, this was something that I really, really loved. The memory, it was a short little bit of memory of the 3 boys going camping and climbing on the edge of the mountains of mists. And the rock shaped like an ear, probably from a statue from Manetheren. It's these stories we need to hear. How the Emons Fielders were friends having little escapades before this all started. I think that's what's been missing for me anyway, is more of that backstory of their friendship. Is Talonvor a hold out against Gabriel? Will he give Matt some advice or help, or just see him on his way? Is like, that's interesting. Talonvor could be an interesting character to see develop. This is huge. There is so much more going on than anyone suspects. There's so much happening. That is 4 Forsaken at least wandering around causing havoc. Lanfear, Samael, and the others, Gabriel, you know what I mean. There's the 4 of them, Tia and Ilian, and now Andor, and then Lanfear's running around doing her own thing. And that's 4 of them. Are the others doing stuff as well? I know 2 of them died, or 1 died and 1 maybe didn't, or did. Anyway, 2 of them are gone. 4 of them are out and about. There's still a few more unaccounted for, and that will be interesting to see where they pop up. The good thing, the best piece of news, is that none of the Forsaken want to work together. They're all trying to get a one-up on each other. They all have their plans in motion and territories they can't cross over without stepping on each other's toes. And on top of that, Gabriel doesn't know about Matt. They are only concerned about Rand. There seems to be something missing here. Or if they do know about Matt, they've missed that Matt could be anywhere. Or I don't like this. That's a key piece of information that is really lucky that Gabriel did not know. It's called teamwork, everyone. You achieve more if you're working together and sharing information. If the gang can figure this out, then they might stand a chance. I almost feel that it's the first side, if it's the Forsaken or if it's Rand and the Tavern crew, whichever side works out, that if they work together, they will get further, they will go further. Whichever team works it out first, they're the ones that are going to win. I know that it's more than that, but that's just how it feels at the moment. They just need to work out what's going on and share information. Chapter 47, To Race the Shadow. Yep, Matt's off to save the day. And Tom's going too. I guess he is intrigued by the adventure, curious, and just likes being needed, I suppose. Talonvor basically let Matt know he supports Morghese and not Gabriel. That could be useful later when they have to deal with the Kamlin issue, because they will have to deal with it, I assume. I hope spreading the rumour doesn't get Master Gil in trouble, but it's a really good idea given how the political games tend to work. I think that was a really brilliant stroke there of spreading that rumour to get Morghese questioning things, given everything. It's the safest way without actually being able to tell her. It's possible Gabriel knew who Matt was. It's possible, in which case they'll be in extra danger as they're leaving. Were the coins magicked like Moiraine's back in book 1? And if so, then Master Gil is in danger. So I hope they're not magicked, and I'm hoping that the Forsaken don't do that kind of thing. Or, in my opinion, this is more likely, is he too arrogant to suspect anything like this at all? And I think that's more likely for the Forsaken just in general. Morgase may have doubts as to where Matt came from. She's probably recognised his Two Rivers accent, or at least hears that he's not from where he says he is, if she does recognise accents like she seemed to when we first met her. I wonder if when Tom and Morgase will come into contact and how she will react to the situation. He'll be useful to travel with for Matt, given he knows where they're going, and Matt would have been travelling a little bit more blindly without Tom's presence. They should be able to share info to help create a strategy, and I think this, again, time and time again, Matt needs to, the more practice he can get at building up a strategy and working things out, the better. Tom has the ability to help Matt think it all through by asking the questions Matt wouldn't know to ask because of his inexperience. So, yeah, really great partnership. I like these two together. Chapter 48, Following the Craft. I have the feeling that Egwene is going to get herself in trouble. Not in this book, but at some point, because of her rivalry with Nynaeve. Accusing her of manipulating as well as Moiraine was a low blow and completely unnecessary, other than because she didn't like Nynaeve taking the lead and wanting to hurt her. I think she's lashing out. It makes sense. She's dealing with all sorts of things and it makes sense, but it was unnecessary. Her dreams are really distressing. Perrin is going to lose someone back home because of all this mess. And maybe many someones, maybe not just one. But it keeps linking back to him. Oh, I worry about Perrin. Master Luhan as bait for Perrin to return and having to choose between a normal life and his role in the bigger pattern. Although probably not really a choice in the scheme of things. Perrin. I don't like that this is where your story seems to be going. I don't like it. But I do. It's such an incredible story. With all her dreams, why isn't Egwene dreaming of the Black Aja? I assume there must be some kind of shielding protection, or she's just not, the pattern's protecting, something's preventing her from dreaming about the Black Aja, which is probably a good thing, because if she dreams about them, then they'll know that she's coming, which they know already. Anyway, Nynaeve's horse, Gaiden, will be a nice match for Lands if she doesn't lose it. I wonder what happened to Bella. Where is Bella? What happened to Bella? Egwene may have been impatient with the competition between Nynaeve and Alhuin, but it shows she still has much to learn. Nynaeve knew they needed to gain her trust, so needed to show that she could be trusted. So Egwene was impatient with it, but Nynaeve was trying to work out what was going on there. And trying to earn that trust and build up rapport. I like that Elaine's suggestion of a thief catcher will actually be a part of the plan without much issue. I hope, anyway, I hope there's no issue with that. I think it's really important that Elaine is a part of this. She drifts into the background just because of Egwene and Nynaeve's relationship and their arguments. And this was just one of those moments that she was able to put an idea forward and have it taken up and considered a decent idea at the time. Although Leandrin may have seen that coming, and it could prove a dangerous choice and part of the trap. Elaine is definitely losing patience with the other two. Fair enough. I wasn't expecting her to slap Egwene though. She has a temper when pushed too far, and I think she realised it's the only way she was going to get through to her as well. It was harsh of Egwene to say something so purposely cruel. I don't like that Egwene is potentially becoming cruel, or this cruel nature is coming to the surface. I don't like it. There's a lot of things about Egwene's character arc that I'm not enjoying right now, but I'm hoping I'm not enjoying it for her. I'm enjoying it as a reader, but I'm not liking it for her at all, and I'm really hoping that it's stuff that she's able to work through and that she doesn't become cruel and manipulative, but she's going to become manipulative, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, I just really feel for Egwene. I feel for so many of them. Chapter 49, the last chapter for today. A storm in Tyr. So, Matt just killed Komar, and the innkeeper decided to blame someone who sounds remarkably like Rand. That doesn't sound like that's not great, because that's not going to be a problem at all, ever. Tom getting sick. They'll eventually have to find a healer, so Matt's luck will lead them to Alhuin, hopefully before the girls get caught in the trap. I think that Tom getting sick seems to make sense, whether that's the pattern playing out is pushing the events forward and making sure that people are where they need to be. Matt's learned his luck is random, so better for dice and the unexpected, not so much for stones or other things like it. He needs to work on understanding and logic for strategy while having luck as a backup. So the luck will only see him through so far. He really needs the other things. I can imagine so many ways these two things will be important in my imagined future events. I just think that this, I've said it before, I think Matt's becoming more clear the more we learn of him, and we've probably got a clearer idea of Matt, I feel, anyway, in this book than all of the other characters. That's just my view at the moment. Oh, the rain is coming down. He's running low on money, which is not surprising considering how he throws it around. It gets the job done, but means no one is going to forget him, which can be problematic in a different way. Now, Matt's dreaming as well, too. It appears that happens when near a Forsaken, or maybe when all the Tavern are sort of in the same place, maybe. I'm assuming it's something to do with that. Anyway, I'm going to guess his dreams are pointing to a man with close cropped white hair. Is that the High Lord of Tyr? I actually don't know. And Moiraine could get caught in the trap as well, or instead of the girls. So that's going to be interesting to see how that unfolds. Matt is surprisingly single-minded in his pursuit, considering there is no personal gain for him. He's much more selfless than he wants people to know, and he's incredibly loyal, which I don't know whether he would have suspected. Not what I would have expected anyway, given how he's spoken about Rand in the past, and even the girls and the Aes Sedai sort of connection. I've been really pleasantly surprised by Matt's loyalty and his behaviour and all those kind of things. But that might just be how he talks until he sees his old friend again about Rand. So he might speak very badly of Rand until he can sort of have that moment of actual talking to. But I do think that there is a lot more fear there that he has to work through. And I don't know that he's ever going to be able to work through his fear of Rand and the taint of the source without something big happening between him and Rand. So I'll be interested to see how that unfolds, but that's for the future. That is all for today. So I've just filmed this video and the last video back to back, and I'll film the next one. I like filming the last video particularly after I've been able to read your comments, so that I can sort of wrap up the book a little bit. I'll be interested to know, if you get down in the comments, let me know how you went with these chapters, how you were feeling about Matt, about Perrin, about Egwene at this stage in the book. I think we're seeing a lot more of these three, and I'm really loving seeing more of these three. I would like to see more or hear more of Nynaeve's thoughts, but we're getting to see her by focusing less on Rand and more on the others. We're really getting to them to come into their own, I suppose. It's not what I expected to happen, given the book is called The Dragon Reborn. I think that was just something I absolutely loved. The moment I realised that this book was not going to follow Rand, that we were going to look at everyone else as they sort of worked out what was going on, just rather than just Rand working it out himself. I thought that was a really brilliant way to sort of keep me guessing. Just like with The Great Hunt, it wasn't about the Great Hunt that I thought it was going to be about, and they didn't end up in Ilion in the last book. I'm loving that it just keeps me guessing and it doesn't take the story where I think it's going to, so it's great. Anyway, that's all for today from me. I'm still trying to decide what I'm going to do with The Shadow Rising. I'm not as far through it as I would like to be. I would prefer to have finished reading it before I do any videos, but it is possible. I'd be interested to know if you want to make any suggestions to this. I may go through The Shadow Rising at half speed, so just one video a week over November and December. I may even condense it. I don't know. I'd be interested to know what you think. And then I could probably do it as I read it, but I would have to ask and beg, please be extra careful with spoilers, because I won't be as far ahead as I normally would be. Anyway, I'd be interested to know so that I can make a plan for my November and December, I suppose. But also, I want to be able to watch the TV series and enjoy it, so and not feel guilty that I'm not putting out videos. So that's what I'm thinking. Let me know if you think that that's a good idea, or if I should do it in a different way. I'd be interested to hear what you have got to say. And otherwise, that's me for today. I will be back before the end of October with the last video on The Dragon Reborn. So make sure you check it out, like the video and subscribe. And look, why not share with your friends? Bring them along for the ride. Let's create a crazy crew of humans. It'll be great. Anyway, I will catch you soon. Bye.